As I sit here surrounded by the memories of a lifetime, I'm reminded of the woman who shaped my childhood, my grandmother Aurora. To me, she was an open book, her heart as transparent as her blue eyes, which sparkled like a summer sky on a cloudless day. Her hugs had the power to heal any pain, to calm any storm, and her wisdom was a guiding light in the darkest of times. I thought I knew her, or so I believed, but life has a way of surprising us, doesn't it? It was after she passed away, in the quiet hours when grief seemed to suffocate me, that I stumbled upon a secret she'd kept hidden for so long. While sorting through her belongings, I opened an old wooden box, its surface worn smooth by the touch of generations. Inside, nestled between yellowed letters and faded photographs, lay a diary. Its cover, made of a soft, worn leather, seemed to whisper secrets as I lifted it out. The pages within were yellowed with age, each one a promise of stories untold. As I opened the diary, a shiver ran down my spine. This was not the Aurora I thought I knew. The realization hit me like a tidal wave. Everything I thought I knew about her, about our family, was about to change. The gentle soul who had rocked me to sleep, who had taught me the value of kindness and love, had lived a life shrouded in mystery. This diary is more than just a collection of pages. It's a key to a world I never knew existed. It's a journey through the shadows and the light, a tale of love, sacrifice, and hidden legacies that span generations. It's a story of a woman who lived through historical turmoil, who navigated the complexities of her time with grace and strength. And it's a story that I'm honored to share with you, as we embark on this journey together, uncovering secrets, forbidden loves, and lost treasures. As we turn the pages of Grandma Aurora's hidden diary, I invite you to join me on a path of discovery, one that winds through the landscapes of the past, revealing the enduring power of love and the mysteries that bind us. It's a story that will take us to the depths of human emotion, to the resilience of the human spirit, and to the realization that, no matter how much we think we know about those we love, there is always more to discover. In the late 1930s, nestled in the heart of America, lay Willow Creek, a small rural town untouched by the rapid changes of the modern world. It was a place where time stood still, where the air was sweet with the scent of blooming wildflowers and the sky seemed to stretch on forever. This serene backdrop was home to Aurora, a young woman with a heart full of dreams and a mind full of wonder. She lived with her family in a modest farmhouse, surrounded by rolling hills and fields of golden wheat that swayed gently in the breeze. Aurora's days were filled with the simple joys of rural life. Mornings were spent helping her parents in the fields, the sun rising over the horizon like a painting in progress. She loved nothing more than to watch the stars twinkle to life on clear nights, her imagination running wild with tales of adventure and romance. Her family was close-knit and affectionate. Her parents, hardworking and kind, instilled in their children a love for the land and a strong sense of community. Thomas, her older brother, was an aspiring aviator, always poring over books on flight and dreaming of the skies. Lily, her younger sister, saw the world through the lens of poetry, her innocent observations capturing the beauty in the mundane. Despite the idyllic setting, Aurora couldn't shake off a feeling of restlessness, a yearning for something more than the familiar rhythms of Willow Creek. She devoured books from the local library, her mind hungry for stories of far-off lands and extraordinary lives. In the evenings, she'd sit by the window, writing in a small notebook, her thoughts and dreams spilling onto the page. It was as if she was trying to capture the whispers of her own heart, to understand the stirrings that seemed to grow louder with each passing day. The townspeople went about their lives with a quiet contentment, their faces creased by the lines of hard work, and their hearts warmed by the simple pleasures. Community gatherings were a regular occurrence, with laughter and music filling the air. Aurora's smile was contagious, and her love for reading made her a cherished companion on long summer afternoons. Yet, as peaceful as Willow Creek seemed, there were whispers of a world beyond its borders, a world that was changing fast and would soon encroach upon their tranquil lives. In the stillness of the night, when the stars shone bright and the world was hushed, Aurora would feel the weight of her own desires, the pull of a future that beckoned her towards the unknown. It was a gentle tug at first, a soft whisper that only she could hear. But it was there, a subtle foreshadowing of the storms to come, of the trials that would test her resolve and transform her life forever. And though she couldn't quite articulate it, Aurora sensed that her journey was about to take a dramatic turn, one that would lead her down paths both unexpected and transformative. As the summer of 1939 waned, the tranquility of Willow Creek began to fray at the edges. News of the war in Europe, once a distant murmur, grew louder, seeping into the daily lives of its residents like the slow creep of autumn chill. In the Watson household, the radio broadcast warnings of Nazi aggression, and Thomas, Aurora's older brother, listened with a mix of excitement and trepidation, his eyes aglow with the thrill of adventure. Their parents, however, exchanged worried glances, their faces etched with concern for the family's safety and livelihood. Aurora, too, felt the peace of her world begin to unravel. She had always believed in the inherent goodness of people, in the power of love and kindness to overcome any obstacle. But as she listened to the radio broadcasts, she began to question this naive view. The world seemed a more brutal, unforgiving place than she had imagined. Her diary entries, once filled with romantic tales and poetic musings, now grappled with the harsh realities of war. It was on one of these evenings, as Aurora sat by the lamp, pouring her thoughts onto paper, that a stranger arrived in Willow Creek. Elias, a young man in a military uniform, stepped off the train and onto the platform, his eyes scanning the small crowd as if searching for someone. There was something about him that was different from the other local boys, something that drew Aurora's attention like a magnet. Perhaps it was the way he carried himself with a quiet confidence, or the way his eyes seemed to hold 1,000 secrets. As Elias made his way through the town, Aurora found herself watching him from afar, her curiosity piqued. She noticed the way the locals seemed to regard him warily, the way he seemed to be waiting for something or someone. And then one evening, as she walked home from the library, their paths crossed. Elias smiled, and Aurora felt a jolt of electricity run through her veins. It was as if the world had suddenly tilted on its axis, and nothing would ever be the same again. In that moment, Aurora sensed that Elias was not like the other boys who had passed through Willow Creek. He was mysterious, guarded, and yet, there was something about him that drew her in, something that whispered of danger and forbidden love. As they parted ways, Aurora couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to change in ways she could hardly imagine, that Elias's presence would draw her into a web of secrets and lies, where the lines between love and war would become perilously intertwined. As the days turned into weeks, Aurora and Elias's clandestine meetings became the highlight of her existence. They'd steal away to the old barn, its rustic beams bathed in the golden light of sunset, or walk hand in hand through the sunflower field, the tall stalks swaying gently in the breeze. In those moments, the war seemed to fade into the background, and all that mattered was the warmth of their love. Their whispers were laced with laughter, their fingers intertwined as they shared stories of hope and dreams. But Elias's eyes still held a secret, a depth that Aurora couldn't quite fathom. It wasn't until they sat together on a weathered bench, overlooking the creek's gentle flow, that he began to reveal the truth. "Aurora, I'm not who you think I am," he said, his voice low and urgent. "I'm a German scientist, a deserter. I've been hiding in plain sight, trying to prevent something catastrophic from happening." Aurora's heart skipped a beat as the words hung in the air. She felt a shiver run down her spine, but Elias's gaze held hers, filled with a deep longing. "What is it that you're trying to prevent?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Elias's eyes locked onto hers, and he told her about the artifact, a powerful encryption device that could change the course of the war. He spoke of his mission to find it, to keep it out of the wrong hands. Aurora listened entranced as the stakes grew higher. She began to understand the danger that lurked in the shadows, the reason behind the furtive glances and hushed conversations. As they spoke, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the town. Aurora noticed the change in atmosphere, the way the air seemed to vibrate with tension. Strangers had begun to appear in Willow Creek, their faces unfamiliar, their eyes cold. They wore civilian clothes, but there was something about them that didn't feel right. The townsfolk grew wary, their smiles forced, their laughter stilted. Aurora's diary became her confidant, the one place where she could pour out her fears and doubts. She wrote of her love for Elias, of the danger that surrounded him, and of her growing determination to help him. The words flowed onto the pages, a cathartic release of emotions that she couldn't express aloud. One evening, as they explored the ancient labyrinth beneath the old church, Elias's lantern cast eerie shadows on the walls. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Aurora felt a shiver run down her spine, but Elias's hand in hers gave her the courage to proceed. They navigated the narrow passages, their footsteps echoing off the stone. It was there, in the depths of the labyrinth, that they discovered the artifact's hiding place. A secret room, hidden behind a clockmaker's clever mechanism, held the encryption device. Elias's eyes lit up with a mix of relief and trepidation as he took the device into his hands. Aurora felt a surge of pride, knowing that she had helped him find it. But their triumph was short-lived. As they made their way back to the surface, they heard the sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate. The creaking of the old structure seemed to take on a menacing tone, and Aurora's heart began to pound in her chest. They knew they weren't alone, that the Nazi agents had caught wind of their presence. The stakes had just escalated, and Aurora's transformation into an active participant had begun. She was no longer just a passive observer. She was now a player in a deadly game of cat and mouse. As they descended deeper into the labyrinth, the air grew thick with anticipation. Aurora's heart pounded in her chest, and Elias's eyes gleamed with a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had been searching for what felt like hours, navigating through narrow passages and avoiding deadly traps. Finally, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber, and within it, the artifact lay before them. The device, an intricate clockwork mechanism, pulsed with a soft blue light. Aurora's breath caught as she reached out to touch it. Elias grasped her hand, his eyes scanning the room. "We must be careful," he whispered. The clockmaker was known for his cunning. A low rumble shook the ground, and the sound of footsteps echoed through the passages. Nazi agents, their faces twisted with malice, emerged from the shadows. Aurora and Elias exchanged a glance, their hearts racing in unison. The agents closed in, their guns drawn. Elias pushed Aurora behind him, his eyes locked on the enemy. "Go!" he mouthed as he charged forward. The room erupted into chaos. Aurora dodged and weaved, using her knowledge of the labyrinth to evade the agents. Elias fought valiantly, taking down several opponents, but he was outnumbered. Aurora watched in horror as Elias stumbled back, a bullet wound in his side. He fell to one knee, his eyes locked on hers. "You must go," he gasped. "The artifact. It's our only chance." With a Herculean effort, Elias pushed himself to his feet and lunged at the agents, buying Aurora just enough time to grab the artifact and make a desperate dash for freedom. As she fled through the winding passages, the sound of gunfire and Elias's cries echoed through the labyrinth. She stumbled, her heart shattering into a million pieces. Tears streamed down her face, and her breath came in ragged gasps. The artifact clutched in her hand felt heavy with the weight of Elias's sacrifice. Aurora emerged into the cool night air, gasping for breath. She looked down at the artifact, and her eyes welled up with tears. Elias's final words echoed in her mind. "You must protect it, Aurora. The world depends on it." The diary she had kept hidden for so long seemed to stir within her, as if it too felt the weight of Elias's sacrifice. She knew that her life's mission had just begun, to safeguard the artifact and honor Elias's memory. In that moment, Aurora felt the depth of her own strength and resilience. The darkness that had threatened to consume her was still there, but it was no longer absolute. The love she had shared with Elias, the sacrifice he had made for her, and the burden she now carried would forever change her. As she vanished into the night, the artifact secure in her possession, Aurora knew that she would carry Elias's legacy with her, a beacon of hope in a world torn apart by war and destruction. As I emerged from the labyrinth, the darkness seemed to swallow me whole. The night air was heavy with rain, and I felt like I was drowning in it. My body shook with every step, my heart heavy with a grief I couldn't begin to process. I had the artifact, but at what cost? Elias, my Elias, was gone. The thought echoed through my mind like a scream that couldn't be silenced. I stumbled back home, my eyes blinded by tears. My family, oblivious to the turmoil that had just unfolded, welcomed me with warm smiles and concerned whispers. But I couldn't meet their gaze. I couldn't speak. The weight of Elias's sacrifice and the secret I now carried felt like a mountain on my shoulders. In the days that followed, I went through the motions, a facade of normalcy masking the chaos within. My parents and siblings noticed my withdrawal, but I couldn't explain. How could I? The truth would only put them in danger. so I isolated myself even from those I loved. The diary became my sole confidant, a sanctuary where I could express the unbearable loss and the crushing responsibility that now rested on my shoulders. I poured my heart onto its pages, the words bleeding with grief and fear. Elias's notes scattered throughout were a bittersweet reminder of his presence, his love, and his sacrifice. As I began to study the artifact, poring over Elias's research and notes, a nascent resolve started to form within me. I would honor his memory, fulfill his mission, and protect the legacy he had entrusted to me. The artifact, with its intricate mechanisms and pulsing blue light, seemed to hum with a life of its own, urging me forward. In the local library, I started my solitary research, driven by a newfound determination. I devoured books on cryptography, history, and science, seeking to understand the mysteries of the artifact. The librarian, a kind-eyed woman with a warm smile, noticed my focus and offered gentle encouragement. But even as I found solace in the written word, the ache of Elias's absence lingered, a constant reminder of the burden I now carried. The diary, my faithful companion, remained my most trusted friend, a testament to the love and sacrifice that had changed my life forever. As I wrote, the words flowing like tears, I began to realize that I was no longer the same girl who had once laughed and played in the sun-kissed fields of Willow Creek. I had been forever altered, forged in the fire of Elias's sacrifice, and now I was ready to face whatever lay ahead, armed with a newfound sense of purpose and a heart that, though broken, still beat with a fierce determination. As I reflect on Grandma Aurora's life, I see a woman transformed by the trials she faced. After leaving Willow Creek, she settled in a larger city, shrouded in anonymity. Her modest apartment, with its simple furnishings and curtained windows, became a sanctuary, a place where she could retreat from the world and focus on her mission. The sounds of the bustling city outside, the hum of trams, the chatter of pedestrians, created a constant background melody, a reminder that she was now a small but vital part of a much larger world. Aurora threw herself into her research, poring over books and documents in libraries and archives, seeking out experts in cryptography and intelligence. Elias's diary was her constant companion, guiding her through the complex world of codes and ciphers. She spent hours poring over his notes, deciphering his cryptic messages, and studying the intricate diagrams of the artifact. Her hands moved with a newfound purpose, assembling and disassembling parts of the device, as she sought to understand its true power. It wasn't just a simple encryption device. It was a tool of immense power, capable of deciphering enemy codes and predicting strategic movements. Aurora's determination grew with each new discovery, and she began to see herself as a guardian, a keeper of the secret that could change the course of the war. She developed skills in observation, discretion, and counterintelligence, becoming a self-taught agent driven by necessity and her promise to Elias. I recall her telling me about the countless nights she spent in public libraries, surrounded by dusty tomes and flickering fluorescent lights, her eyes scanning pages of codebooks and historical texts. She'd take meticulous notes, creating complex timelines and diagrams, slowly piecing together the puzzle of the artifact's capabilities. In coffee shops and train stations, she'd observe people, studying their behavior, learning to identify potential surveillance or hidden messages. Aurora's transformation was not without its costs. Solitude took its toll, and the weight of her secret life bore down on her. There were times when the loneliness seemed almost unbearable, but she drew strength from Elias's memory and the importance of her mission. His words scribbled in the diary became her mantra. The shadows will always be there, but it's in the light that we find our true strength. The Nazi threat was ever present, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked in every corner. Aurora learned to be vigilant, to recognize the telltale signs of surveillance, to move unseen in a world that seemed determined to uncover her secrets. I remember her recounting a particularly tense encounter at a train station, where she spotted a suspicious individual, their eyes lingering on her for just a fraction of a second too long. She melted into the crowd, her heart pounding, as she disappeared into the sea of faces. In those moments, Aurora's growth as a resourceful and capable individual was evident. She was no longer the naive young woman from Willow Creek. She was a force to be reckoned with, driven by a fierce determination to honor Elias's memory and fulfill her mission. The artifact, once a mysterious relic, had become a catalyst for her transformation, a symbol of the enduring power of love and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming adversity. As the war finally drew to a close, Aurora felt a sense of relief wash over her, like the gentle lapping of waves on a still pond. She had done it. She had fulfilled her mission, using the artifact to transmit crucial intelligence that had turned the tide of the war. The memories of those long nights, hunched over a radio, fingers flying across the Morse code machine, flashed before her eyes like a montage of triumph. The enemy's plans, once shrouded in mystery, had been laid bare, and the Allies had struck with precision. The quiet satisfaction of having played a part in shaping history swelled within her, a sense of pride that she had never sought but now felt deeply. It was a bittersweet moment, though. The weight of Elias's loss still lingered, a reminder of the sacrifices made along the way. Yet, in the silence that followed, Aurora found solace. She had kept her promise to Elias, and in doing so, had found a new purpose. Aurora returned to Willow Creek, the place where her journey had begun. The town, once a backdrop for war and secrecy, now welcomed her as a peacetime haven. She settled into a small cottage on the outskirts, surrounded by gardens and the gentle rustle of leaves. Here she began to rebuild not just her life but the lives of those around her. She started a small school for children, teaching them the importance of resilience, courage, and kindness. Her experiences, once a burden, had become a gift, one she shared generously with others. The artifact, once a symbol of war and sacrifice, now found a peaceful resting place. Aurora carefully stored it in a beautiful music box, adorned with intricate patterns and a soft golden glow. The music box became a cherished keepsake, a reminder of the past but also of the peace that had been won. As she wound the box and the melody filled the air, Aurora's thoughts would drift back to Elias, to the war, and to the journey that had brought her to this place of serenity. Years passed, and Aurora grew into the wise, loving grandmother I had the privilege of knowing. Her eyes, once haunted by the shadows of war, now sparkled with warmth and wisdom. She had lived a life that was, on the surface, simple, yet beneath the surface, was a tapestry of extraordinary experiences and profound sacrifices. As I look back, I realized that her seemingly gentle nature belied a depth of character that I could only begin to understand through the diary she left behind. In those quiet moments with Grandma Aurora, listening to her stories and laughter, I felt the presence of something greater than herself, a legacy of love, sacrifice, and hidden histories. Her diary, now a treasured family heirloom, revealed the contours of her soul, a map of a life lived with purpose, courage, and an enduring commitment to the people and the causes she loved. And as I reflect on her life, I understand that the blackness that had once turned her eyes had given way to a warm golden light, a light that would guide me in future generations, a testament to the transformative power of love and sacrifice. As I sit here surrounded by the memories of a life well lived, I find myself lost in the pages of Grandma Aurora's hidden diary. What was once a mysterious artifact, a relic of a bygone era, has become a map to her soul. The more I read, the more I realized that I never truly knew her. The woman I thought I knew, the one who told me stories of fairies and heroes, was only a glimpse into the extraordinary life she lived. Those childhood stories, which I now understand as metaphors for her own heroic journey, take on a new meaning. The brave heroes and clever heroines were not just figments of her imagination, but reflections of her own strength and resilience. I see now that her life was a tapestry woven from threads of love, sacrifice, and determination. The black eyes she spoke of, which appeared at night, were not just a quirk of her imagination, but a testament to the depth of her emotions and the weight of her secrets. Aurora's legacy is not just the artifact, nor is it merely the secrets she kept. It is the silent strength she embodied, the wisdom she shared through her stories, and the unconditional love she showed to all who knew her. Her life was a masterpiece of complexity and beauty, a reminder that our stories, though unique, are all interconnected. As I reflect on her journey, I see parallels between her struggles and triumphs and my own life. The challenges she faced, the fears she overcame, and the love she shared. All these resonate deeply within me. Her experiences continue to inspire and guide me, offering a sense of peace and understanding that I had not known before. The diary, once a mysterious object, has become a personal treasure, a guide that helps me navigate life's twists and turns. Through Aurora's story, I have come to understand that courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to face it head-on. I have learned that love is not just a feeling, but a choice, a decision to put others before oneself. As I close this chapter of my journey, I am reminded of the power of our stories. Aurora's story, hidden away for so long, has taught me that our lives are not just a series of events, but a legacy that we leave behind. It is a reminder that we all have hidden stories, stories that deserve to be told and shared. Inspired by Aurora's example, I hope to carry forward her legacy, to share my own stories, and to encourage others to do the same. In doing so, we create a ripple effect of love, compassion, and understanding that can change the world. As we come to the end of Grandma Aurora's remarkable story, I'm reminded of the profound impact one person can have on the lives of those around them. Her journey, woven from threads of courage, love, and resilience, teaches us that even in the darkest times, there is always hope. Through her eyes, we see that the true strength of the human spirit lies not in the absence of fear, but in the willingness to face it head-on. And it's through her legacy that we're reminded that love is a choice, a decision to put the needs of others before our own. If these stories have resonated with you, then I know that Grandma Aurora's purpose has been fulfilled. Her story doesn't end here. It continues through each of us, in our own experiences, struggles, and triumphs. As you reflect on the lessons she shared, I invite you to consider how her journey might inspire your own path forward. As we close this chapter, I'd like to invite you to engage with our community. Please take a moment to leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think was the most remarkable aspect of Grandma Aurora's story? What secret do you think she held dearest to her heart? Your insights will help us create more content that inspires and uplifts. Don't forget to like, subscribe to our channel, and share this story with those who might find it meaningful. By doing so, you're helping to keep Grandma Aurora's legacy alive, and ensuring that her story continues to inspire and motivate others. As the music swells and we say goodbye for now, I leave you with a final thought. What will you do with the lessons of Grandma Aurora's story? How will you carry her spirit of love, courage, and resilience into your own life and the lives of those around you?